source material bonus content.
I want to give you guys a little bit of extra content here for the Garth Ennis The Boys episode that we have upcoming, which I should be editing right now, but I'm not. I'm recording this. All right, so check it out. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do something called the Wiki Rabbit Hole. All right. Concept of this is I'm going to start out with Garth Ennis on the wiki. Now, I'm going to keep my selections comic book related. And now when I say selections, we all know that Wikipedia entries all have links. So I am going to try and keep my selections to comic book related links. Now, I tried this a few minutes ago. I did 20 minutes with Garth Ennis, and I just went all out, no restrictions. And I went from Garth Ennis to a terrorist who was killed by the name of Abu Wahib. We talked about the Orlando nightclub shooting. That went way far away from probably what you guys want to hear. So I want to keep it comic book related, all right? Instead of just open-ended. I thought of some really different ways to do this, and I might play with it later on down the line, but I like the concept of it. All right, so we're starting out with Garth Ennis, and then I'm going to click on random links, just stuff that interests me, and I want to try it all, like I said, keep it as comic book related as I can. So let's type in Garth Ennis, and we will start there. Take me to the Wikipedia. So yeah, all we're doing is we're sticking on Wikipedia, and we are just going straight off of that. All right. So Wikipedia, Garth Ennis. I want to read the top paragraph mostly of everything I click onto, and then we'll kind of scan the article and figure out if there's any other links that we want to maybe investigate. All right. So Garth Ennis, born the 16th of January, 1970. He's about to celebrate his 50th birthday. He's a Northern Irish-born naturalized American comics writer, best known for the Vertigo series Preacher, with artist Steve Dillon and his 9-year run on Marvel Comics' Punisher franchise. He has collaborated with artists such as Dillon and Glenn Fabry on Preacher, John McCrae on Hitman, Mark Silvestri on The Darkness, and Carlos Ezquerra on both Preacher and Hitman. Now, there's some interesting stuff. I mean, they talk about, his career, what he got into here. Pretty long, decent-sized article. Ennis wrote the first arc of Wildstorm's Midnighter, a spinoff of The Authority, and one standalone issue before leaving the title. Ennis has also worked with John Woo on a 5-issue comic book miniseries called Seven Brothers for Virgin Comics. Plot summary for Seven Brothers. 600 years ago, a mighty treasure fleet set out to sail the oceans of the world. They reached every continent, discovered every land long before history's great explorers stole the credit for their feats. Now, in modern-day Los Angeles, 7 men with nothing in common but their destinies are drawn together in the service of a mysterious young woman. An ancient prophecy must be fulfilled. Something terrible is reaching out across the centuries. There's a world to be saved, and the only hope for all is a motley crew of so-called brothers and a power too terrifying to be used. Interesting. All right, so already I've clicked on Seven Brothers. I've got to try and keep it comic book related. So really about the only thing on here that's comic book related. Okay, so I clicked on Virgin Comics. Let's read this first paragraph. It says, Liquid Comics is a comic book company founded in 2006 as Virgin Comics LLC, which produced stories, many of which are Indian culture related, for an international audience. The company was founded by Sir Richard Branson and his Virgin Group, author Deepak Chopra, filmmaker Shikhar Kapoor, and enterprisers Sarad Devarajan, Suresh Sitharaman, and Gotham Chopra. In August 2008, the company restructured and relocated from New York to Los Angeles. On September 24, 2008, it was announced that Virgin Comics was renamed Liquid Comics after a management buyout. What do we got here that's comic book related we can click on? So give me some titles here. Comic lines. Shakti, okay? Shakti line means power in Sanskrit, feature Indian mythology, art, historical history, classical stories, and other related themes, often with a modern twist. Comic creators. Oh my goodness. Virgin Comics creators include Jenna Jameson, John Woo, Nicolas Cage, Alex Ross. Jenna Jameson? I want to click on that name. Guy Ritchie, Shikhar Kapoor. Yeah. What other names do I recognize on here? Terry Gilliam, Bart Sears, Ron Mars. Let's click on Bart Sears. Bart Sears, born 1963, is an American comics artist, toy and packaging designer, and author known for his work on such books as Justice League Europe, Legends of the Dark Knight, Exo Man of War, Turok, Violator, and The Helm. Okay. Well, I'll have to remember this. Sears ran his own comic property his own comic company briefly in 1994 called Ominous Press. 3 creator-owned titles, and in 2000 he joined CrossGen as an artist. Sears has also taught at the Kubert School and is the author of a monthly series, Brutes and Babes. I remember that, featured in Wizard magazine. Yep, I remember that. Well, here we go. Listen to this. All right, well, here's our links. We have Cops, G.I. Joe. Now, when I say Cops, at COPS, the animated series. Hasbro, Cops, G.I. Joe, World Wrestling Federation toy lines. He worked as a designer of those action figures in packaging for those. And many of the X-Men action figures from Toy Biz. Ooh, and then there's a Wizard magazine down there. Click on too. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to click on the Kubert School. That's right. We're going to learn about the Kubert School a little bit. Kubert School, formerly the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Art, or Joe Kubert School, located in Dover, New Jersey, is a 3-year technical school that teaches the principles of sequential art and the particular craft of the comics industry, as well as commercial illustration. School's instructors are full-time professionals working in the industry. Alumni include Amanda Connor, Lee Weeks, Andy Price, Alex Maleev. Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Art was founded in September of 1976 by cartoonist Joe Kubert and his wife Muriel in Dover's former high school, whose tall windows offered optimal lighting. Its first graduating class of 1978 included Stephen R. Bissett, Thomas Yates, and Rick Veitch. Now, we talked about Rick Veitch. Actually, we're going to be talking about him upcoming on our Unspoken Issues podcast. He drew an issue of Supreme. Let's click on Stephen R. Bissett. Bissetti. I knew I was probably saying his name wrong because we talked about him a while back. That's right. Stephen R. Bissetti, born March 14th, 1955, is an American comics artist, editor, and publisher with a focus on the horror genre. He is known for working with writer Alan Moore and inker John Toddlebean in the DC Comics series Swamp Thing in the 1980s. Horror master. Bissetti is known for his multiple award-winning collaboration with writer Alan Moore and inker John Toddlebean on DC Comics Saga of the Swamp Thing. Under the company name of Spider Baby Graphics, he later published a horror anthology, Taboo, the original home of Moore and Eddie Campbell's From Hell and Tim Lucas's Throat Sprockets. Ugh. So I want to click on Taboo. Taboo is a comics anthology edited by Steve Bissetti that was designed to feature edgier and more adult comics than could be published through mainstream publishers. Hence the name, Taboo. The series began as a horror anthology, but soon branched out into other genres as well. It was published by various imprints from 1988 to 1995. Taboo most notably serialized Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell's From Hell. Boy, I read that book. That was a big book. I remember getting that book from the library, which may have been possibly the largest book I've ever seen from the library. Graphic novel, that is. I mean, it was massive. It was like this huge phone book. Each issue of Taboo was at least 100 pages long, featuring many stories per issue. Bissetti's own imprint, Spider Baby Graphics and Publications, published the first 7 issues, as well as Taboo Especial, one shot from 1988 until 1992. Kitchen Sink Press put out 2 additional issues in 1995. Well, guess where we're going, folks? We're going to Kitchen Sink Press. I've heard of Kitchen Sink Press. Let's see what we can learn from these guys. All right. Kitchen Sink Press was a comic book published company founded by Dennis Kitchen in 1970. Kitchen Sink Press was a pioneering publisher of underground comics. That's right. It was also responsible for numerous republications of classic comic strips in hardcover and softcover volume. The company closed in 1999. One of the best known products was the first full reprint of Will Eisner's The Spirit, first in magazine format and then in standard comic format. So in the 1980s, transitioning from an underground publisher in the 1980s, Kitchen Sink launched such titles as Death Rattle Volume 2, Mark Schultz's post-apocalyptic Xenozoic Tales, James Vance and Dan Burr's acclaimed limited series Kings in Disguise, the Doug Allen's Steven. Other titles launched by Kitchen Sink Press in this period, but later continued by other publishers, include Howard Cruz's Gay Comics, Don Simpson's Megaton Man, and Reed Waller and Kate Worley's Omaha the Cat Dancer. Kitchen Sink continued publishing the Snarf anthology until 1990. Snarf. Wasn't that the cat from Thundercats? They're all cats, Jesse. Oh, okay. Megaton Man. We're clicking on Don Simpson's Megaton Man. Megaton Man. He's a satirical superhero created by cartoonist Dandy Don Simpson, a parody of the superhero genre. Megaton Man is a gigantically muscled but dim-witted oaf who starred in Simpson's cheerfully absurd stories. So the one that I clearly remember is Savage Dragon versus the Megaton Man. I remember that pretty well. The character Trent Flug lives in Megatropolis, a futuristic city in Michigan, United States, and he makes his living as the superhero Megaton Man, otherwise known as the Man of Molecules. What can we click on? Oh, I see Image Comics up there. Ooh, here we go. Gower Goose is a cowardly goose and a heavy drinker. Although not tough on the side of action, he feels better suited to doing odd jobs for his friends, such as cleaning the dishes and mopping the floor. A good friend of X-Ray Boy, Gower Goose has also had a crush on Mooncat, a member of the Tomb Team. Outside his mega hero image, Gower Goose is a radio presenter on his own radio station, WUCK, named after his catchphrase. Gower Goose looks very similar in appearance to Howard the Duck, and we can click on Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck. Ooh! A character appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. The character was created by writer Steve Gerber and artist Val Mayerick. He first appeared in Adventure into Fear number 19, cover dated December of 1973, and several subsequent series have chronicled the misadventures of the ill-tempered, anthropomorphic funny animal trapped on a human-dominated Earth. Echoing this, the most common tagline of his comics reads, "Trapped in a world he never made." All right, there we go. That was the Wiki rabbit hole for Garth Ennis. We made it all the way around here. We went from Garth Ennis to Seven Brothers to Liquid Comics to Bart Sears to the Kubert School, Stephen R. Bissetti, Taboo Comics, Kitchen Sink Press, Megaton Man, and finished out at Howard the Duck. Thanks for joining me. I'll be talking The Boys with Gavin Napier of the Casual Heroes. Keep your ears peeled for that one to be dropping Monday the 18th of November. And until then, we'll catch you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.